Suddenly I woke up one day and I realized that this whole system was built on reward for obedience to authority. And that's a powerful tool.
It is an institution. It is a business. And it's an organization that makes some people incredibly happy and leads some people to live incredibly rich lives. It did not do that for me. And I want to be out of it. I don't want to have that haunting feeling anymore. For some reason, it won't go away.
Just being on this program, I risk everything. Because I will be perceived as criticizing the church, therefore I'm criticizing the prophet, therefore I'm criticizing God.
Mormonism is special in its history in that it is the only new, revealed American religion. It comes to us with the assertion that a new scripture has been revealed to mankind that rewrites hundreds of years of history. And that the entire Middle Ages, for example, was a great apostasy, that until Joseph Smith in the 1820s received his visions and in 1830 published the Book of Mormon, we did not have the truth of the original Christian teaching. Joining the Mormons is like joining IBM. It is not like joining a struggling little enterprise. You're joining an enterprise that is successful, and its success almost proves its truth.
Once you're caught in this web of Mormonism, you cannot become unglued from it easily, because your whole eternal salvation is tied up. Because if you're committed to the concept that you're sealed for time and all eternity, if you break that, if you deny that, husband or wife, particularly the man, they'll be cursed and damned forever. The hold the church has on men is right there, because the oath of the priesthood of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says that a man who receives the priesthood and then denies it will be given no forgiveness in this life nor the next. That's a powerful hold on.
There's no out for those who it's not a positive experience. There's no net to catch those people who fall out of the experience having had a terrible experience.
I think for me, had I not gone on a mission, maybe I would have felt guilty about that and I would have stayed in the church longer, whatever. But as it was, I came back very bitter after the initial part wore off. And it wasn't an indoctrination at all. I reacted and went the other way.
Speaking as a non-Mormon who's been observing Mormons closely for many years, I think that it's quite clear that most Mormons do not question authority. Most faithful Mormons accept what their authorities tell them with an openness that is remarkable to many outsiders.
I think it was a system of thought reform. And thought reform is basically education. If you tend to limit the scope of somebody so that the only input that they have is the input that you give them, they will tend to give you that input back.
Men get their identity from becoming participants through the priesthood and their experience in the priesthood. Women get their identity vicariously through their husbands.
Women do not hold the priesthood in the Mormon Church, and only since President Spencer Kimball's revelation in 1978 have black members been given the priesthood.
Each missionary was instructed to help other missionaries by making sure that that missionary didn't err, so to speak. We were questioning. We were asking what's going on, but at the same time, we were very careful about that. Because the minute you questioned, That's the minute you were criticized for questioning the brethren and questioning the doctrine. It was a place to show your belief, not your disbelief.
When a member expresses his private doubts or unbelief as a public chastisement of the leadership or the doctrine of the church, or a confrontation with those also seeking eternal light, he has entered upon sacred ground. Those who complain about the doctrine or the leadership of the church, but who lack the faith or desire to keep God's commandments, risk separating themselves from the divine source of learning.
The Mormons are so committed to their church, almost in a cult-like, almost in a sect-like way, even though I wouldn't characterize Mormonism as a sect or as a cult. They still retain a certain amount of cult-like energy and commitment. They tend to ostracize those Mormons who do not perform in an orthodox way.
According to the church, only 2% of those called as missionary candidates fail to complete a mission. This means that every year, out of 30,000 missionaries, about 600 are unwilling or unable to complete the program.
The event of leaving the Missionary Training Center was a big event in my life. I don't think I'll ever get over it completely. I'll always feel a little bit haunted and a little bit bothered about the fact that I did not complete a mission. In the Mormon church, it's very important that every male member complete a mission. And if you don't, you're certainly in the minority and in many times, and sometimes looked down upon and ostracized.
If you're a woman, it's a big deal to marry a returned missionary. It's something that's pushed ever since you were young. I remember, I guess probably in junior high is about when it started. During mutual, for the most part, you know, you always made out your goals, and one of them was, I want to marry a returned missionary.
I was to go to Japan, and so I was trying to learn Japanese, and I was trying to memorize the discussions. There was a lot of pressure from my teachers to perform well. My teachers would tell me that essentially that I would go to hell if I didn't really work hard, incredibly hard.
Shut that door. Hi, guys.
Hi. Hi. How are the roads?
I started to believe that I was a failure, despite the fact that I was trying as hard as I could.
So much of it seemed to be more like a Marine boot camp experience than a lifting experience, sort of to put them through the test and see if they had the whatever it took to survive even. And to me, that doesn't fit. We get enough of that in the world, but not here, not in the church.
Yeah.
Inside, I wanted to go, but there was a lot of, pressure from the outside that made me stay. And finally, I just listened to myself and thought I need to do what's best for myself, or what I think is best for myself. I need to leave. So I went in to talk to the mission president there, and I told him that I was going to go. And he told me the same thing I'd heard before, that girls wouldn't like me, and that I was going to fall away from the church and go to hell. I didn't agree with him, but I told him, well, fine. If that's what you think, I still want to go.
My initial reaction was a reaction of great concern, but yet I think we felt that this was the appropriate place for him to be at that time, and I think I just tried to support him as much as I can, and told him to try and hang in there and do what he was instructed to do, and everything would turn out all right. And that was probably not the best advice a father could have given him at that point.
So I I felt that I would have to go it on my own, that my family was not going to be a part of my life any longer. And but I didn't know quite what to do. I knew I was going to leave, but I didn't know when, and I didn't know how I'd leave. I decided that the best way that I could get out of there would be to take an overdose of some pills, and that way, you know, maybe it'd screw me up enough to get me in a hospital and keep me there until the time that my group was supposed to leave for Japan. When I woke up the next morning, I was happy. I was so relieved to be out of there. My parents, I could tell, were very worried about me.
When Reed came home, he was very flat emotionally. There were no highs or no lows. I know that he felt worthless. And we were, of course, very concerned, and at that point, we didn't trust anybody.
Dad kept all the curtains closed because he didn't want anyone to see I was home. He did it for my own protection. I felt like he was trying to hide me from the world, and I was a little bit ashamed or something like that.
And I'm sure we sent out messages to keep away, but people did keep away, and like I've said before, they really didn't know what to say. And so they didn't say anything, and that was hard.
It's kind of like you disappear, like you're invisible sometimes, like somebody could walk right through you and would not know that you were there, and you would not know that they had walked through you. It's really an incredible kind of a feeling.
I have no idea how many have had experiences like Reed. I don't think that would be possible to find out from those who do know. But as we've said to ourselves and to others, when it happens to you, it's 100%. And if you use these standards that we've talked about, then it matters, period. If it's just one.
We do not need critics standing on the sidelines. We need men of faith and capacity who love the Lord and who work to accomplish His purposes. God bless you, each of you.
I can remember the day my father called and said, or I called my father and said, I'm coming home today. And they'd been real understanding before, but my father, he got on the phone, he only said one sentence, he goes, think about it. You cannot come home. Just think about it.
A lot of it is a real waste of my time as far as I could have been furthering my education. Sure, I learned discipline, and I grew up a lot.
If you have a positive experience on your mission, that's going to affect the rest of your life. I mean, as far as those church values are concerned.
I mean, I wanted to be like every other missionary that came home. And I wanted to stand up and say, this is the best 2 years of my life. It was not. Was it for you? Was it the best 2 years of your life?
I'm the guy that had a good experience, and I won't even say that. It was the hardest. It was the hardest 2 years of my life.
Mormonism is the only one of the many 19th century American sects that has survived to become not only a mainline religion, but an entirely new religious tradition.
To be able to live comfortably as a human being in this church today is much more difficult because there's no room for individual expression. There's no room for dissent. We've been taught all of our lives that the first step toward apostasy is to criticize.
It's an American church. It's a business. And it didn't fit with the culture. It did not fit with the culture.